BigHerc916, positivity, motivation, never settle for average. You know how we do it over here. You know what's crazy, man, is all this Epstein file shit, right? That the DOJ's been sitting on for years. They decide to release it, and you have the Epstein list, and then you have these crazy emails, and everybody wants to kind of turn the cheek or pretend that, what they see in the emails redacted is not what they think it is. Now, let me tell you how backwards this shit is, right? If this was an investigation of a guy in the hood and they want to prosecute a conspiracy, they would say every time he mentioned pizza, that was a kilo of cocaine. Every grape soda, that was maybe a pound of weed. They would just throw that in there. That's code. And they would tie it all in. But as you can see, they got, grape soda and pizza mentioned numerous times. And the people talking about it, they haven't even been picked up for questioning. That shows you how desensitized the public is and how people are so beat down emotionally that they just want to go on with their life. They don't even want to hear about it. They act like this is like no big deal. They literally put it in your face and you ignore it. Now, I can recall a couple years ago when they said the Tate brothers, Tristan and Andrew, were doing the lover boy thing, romancing women, getting them to give them their OnlyFans money or whatever, their TikTok money, whatever the case may be. Dude, they had those dudes snatched up, locked up, held, and then had them on home confinement, took all their assets and shamed them guys over allegations of women saying that they were exploited. It wasn't nothing involving satanic worship, sacrifice of babies and eating kids and sex trafficking and violation of young people. Wasn't none of that in there. But yet they were arrested, stripped of their assets, and later home confined for years until the case, basically, they were vindicated. Now, how do you call that a justice system? Doesn't that tell you that the people running this shit are involved in some very dark shit? Or else they would be on these people, wouldn't they? The Prince Andrew shit? Come on, man. That's like saying, give us one of your nobility to make us feel happy. And, they used to do that back in the day. They'll throw out somebody, sacrifice them to the people while they continue to do the bullshit. But this is what I'm talking about. And nobody's pissed off. Well, it's like they're, we thought people were going to be in handcuffs. And no, you would be in handcuffs, but they're not going to put them in handcuffs. And people are going to continue to still watch these people's movies, listen to their music, let these people continue to run offices in politics. I mean, really? Not saying everybody on the list was involved in something on the island, but man, look, in a conspiracy, there could be 30 people on there and you don't know any of them, but by you being on an email chain or a wiretap, you're a part of a conspiracy. You're getting locked up and you're getting charged with a RICO. Even if they never found any drugs on you. That's how that's how they get these dudes. A lot of the guys in there doing time for conspiracy, they never found the drugs on them or caught them in possession of doing a drug transaction. That's the definition of a conspiracy. Now, when you have these celebrities and they're, oh, somebody mentioned my name. I mean, dude, if you were mentioned in the same email chain with El Chapo, you would be in jail. With Mayo, any of these guys, you're tied into a drug conspiracy. How are these people not tied into a child sex trafficking conspiracy? How? Grape soda? Everybody that's balling like that drinks grape soda and has pizzas? And they store jerky in refrigerations and eat a lot of jerky? You've ever heard anybody eating that much jerky? This shit is wild, man. And it's like the silence is an indication of where we're at in society and how they just keep chipping away and putting things in your face to where eventually you'll just accept it. And they will push people who want to live a normal, good life raising their kids to a point where they just snap. This is where we're at in America, and this is where we're at in the world. It wasn't just Americans that were on this Epstein shit. And I'm quite sure other Epsteins out there, and there's other people involved in this type of dubious activity, nefarious activity. But where is the justice? Why isn't there questioning? Put those people in the hot seat. Say if they didn't do anything, but they were hanging out with a known pedo. Why aren't they being questioned? When they question people from the hood, even if you weren't at the shooting, even if you weren't involved in what happened at the park, and they watch your body language, and then they see whether or not you were lying or try to trick you up because they have interrogation tactics. Why aren't we seeing these guys publicly being put through interrogation tactics? That's what the government does when they're looking at busting these potential people who could have possibly been terrorists or major narcos, right? They study their language and they watch them and they go through this and they try to decipher code and all this stuff. I haven't had the time to sit there and read each file because some of the stuff I've heard is just disgusting. And to even fathom people that act at that capacity is to me beyond anything I want to associate with. And the thing is, people think, well, why are these people doing this and blah, blah, blah. Look, man, you have people that don't look at themselves as being part of humanity. You have people that operate in a realm where they can detach themselves from young people, from certain parts of society, and they don't look at them as being human or a part of their so-called race or existence. So they don't feel any sympathy for them. That's how they're able to do stuff like that and it not bother them. This is the type of shit you're dealing with, but a lot of people are so naive. They just think, well, it's just too far out. How far out do you think shit is? You start looking into history and there's a lot of far out shit. There's a lot of shit that's been changed for the benefit of a few to control a many. Do your homework, man. When you see this stuff and you hear about people into certain types of sacrifices and worship and them doing stuff, you act like, oh, it's just artistic. That's so artistic. That's cute. Oh, that was just them expressing themselves. Really? Okay. You walk around and have a blue rag hanging from your pocket and have a certain type of shoe on with a certain type of shoelace and walk in certain parts. Well, you can call yourself artistic. You will get your wig split. Or if you have a red rag, depending on whatever rag, if you're in certain areas, it's not artistic. It's you putting out a message. Look at your dollar bill, man. Look at the signs and symbol on your dollar bill, on just all your money. You think that stuff is there because it's pretty? Do you not know that everything that's at a higher level, whether you walk into certain places of worship, if you go into certain arenas, that certain things are on certain parallels because it aligns with certain vibes, certain vibrations, that certain things happen on certain nights because of its magnetic pull coming from the moon, and the basically astrology all lines up. They don't just do stuff because of a random day. Certain things happen on certain days because of what people believe in. This shit is not just make believe, man. And they took a lot of stuff and changed because they didn't want you to know what the hell they were doing, and to mask it, they added these fairy tales. Maybe they make it into a cartoon or to some far out movie, and they put so much of it out there to where you hear about it and you're like, oh, I heard about that in one of those movies. Yeah. And it doesn't impact you because maybe you feel like it doesn't concern you because it's them. It's not anything close to you, but it all ties in because it's all energy, man. This stuff is all about energy, about um, basically vibrations. You have these occults that believe in certain things. All of this is relevant, man. Whether you decide to wake, and it's not like I'm telling you to go out here and get pitchforks and I'm just saying the more conscious you are, the best thing you could do is not support these people, whether it be their movies, their music, their political offices, their contributions. Be your own person. Take some responsibility in the choices you make and what you support. Find out what these people are really about. Do you want to get behind somebody that you find out that they're into ball worship? They're into sacrificing kids. They're into harming young people. They're into human trafficking. They're into these things that are of darkness and bringing in dark spirits. And you got to look at it like this, man. If you don't have a faith in God, there's people that have a faith in Satan, or if you want to call the devil, or whoever you want to, Baphomet, whatever you want to call it, and they believe in that so strong that whatever that entity has blessed them with, they're willing to do whatever it takes to get those blessings. Just like you have people willing to invest in God to get God's blessings. One's dark, one's light. Some people look at what they're doing as good. Some people look at what they're doing as evil. But those who participate, maybe they look at it as it's just what side of the fence you're on. Whether you're in Europe, Africa, or America, if you hurt little kids, you're doing evil. If you participate in taking lives of people for the sake of certain types of sacrifices, you're doing darkness. You're doing evil. And if you believe that not to be true, then obviously you have a different belief system, and you look at some people as being sacrificial, or certain entities worth the sacrifice. But these are the conversations a lot of people don't want to have. And people just think, oh my God, and just be passive, just turn the cheek. Well, look, you got to choose a side, man. You got to figure out who you roll with. You got to get straight with your beliefs with God, where you stand. And sometimes you got to put the burden on God to carry you through these dark times, because we're going to see a lot more being exposed here. And they want you to think that there is no God, so that what they bring forth for you to believe in will be easily accepted. That's why they want to destroy any faith, and get you to question any faith you have in anything that's considered Christ-like. I'm not telling you what you should or shouldn't believe in. The choice is yours. All I'm saying is that when you look at how they built cases on numerous people who have been locked up, it was with less evidence than what you've seen in the Epstein files. And these people their deals were 20 years or go to trial. We haven't seen anything happening with any of these people who are still smiling in your faces, still out here parading around. And the word goes in the hood, you're guilty by association, man, until proven otherwise. I'm not saying that everybody participated, but what I am saying is that people have tuned out to a degree because they don't want to believe that certain things are happening right in front of their face. And they are happening right in front of your face. Kids coming up missing, people coming up missing, things you hear about that's covered up. And there are many people that are complicit in this. It can't happen with just one or two people. We're living in the age of reckoning, man. And the same token where they're spying and trying to get all this information and, being able to monitor everybody, it's also it's going to be part of their downfall, because you can go back now and look at things and break down things that were at the time not very clear, but now they make sense. You see it on X, people looking at old videos of stuff, old interviews, old publications, old television programs, and it's all there. It was there the whole time. It's just whether or not you were tuned in and conscious. But I feel a lot more people are now conscious and spiritually awakened, that they see it now. And God bless those who have been, putting the word out and who are strong in their faith and their beliefs that they will speak on this. My platform's not that big, I don't have the reach that a lot of others have, but what I do have is a strong conviction, and I know right from wrong. I've made mistakes. I've done wrong and knew when I was doing it. And I'm not afraid to admit that and own up to it. But you have a lot of people, they done did whatever wrong or whatever they did in the dark, and they don't want to own up to it. So they're hiding in the shadows. Hey, man, leave a comment. Let me know what you guys think. And based on what you've seen or what you've heard, and that's a lot of what they used against, I'll just use, for example, Andrew and Tristan Tate. Do you think that there's enough out there for people to be detained, questioned, and possibly locked up until they can show that they had no involvement in what is being alleged? Leave a comment, share the channel, and pick up a sticker for your car, or a patch, or a sticker for your laptop, or maybe a beanie, or read one of the many books that BigHerc916 has authored. You know how we do it.